Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Big Lee's World Podcast. It is I, your host, Big Lee, coming to you live from the Big Lee's Boom Boom Room right here in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Tonight, I have with me a special guest. You already know this if you've seen the advertisement. However, the advertisement has to be changed a little bit because originally it was supposed to be both Jason and Ken here tonight. However, Ken decided that he could not make it tonight. So tonight I have with me Mr. Jason Wells. How are you doing?
I'm good. That Starbucks business is, I guess, taking a toll on Ken. He couldn't make it, but that's okay. I came all the way up from Chaffee, and I'm her.
Oh, the big city of Chaffee.
Big city of
Just
Chaffee.
kind of a behind the scene things here. We're actually re-recording part of the podcast. Well, actually starting from the beginning. Luckily, we didn't get too far in it. We started recording, and we forgot that we didn't hook the mic up. I blame Jason for that because he seen the cord laying there and did not proceed to say anything about it.
Yeah, it would have helped if I'd have known what it was. But that's okay. That's okay.
Well, hey, that's how you know this podcast is the real deal. Not a lot of smoke and mirrors here. We keep it real. I was going to have I don't know if there's any more cool, hip sayings to say with something like that, but...
It's lit?
It's lit.
Ha!
It's turned up, right?
Turned up.
Turned up.
Turned up.
Speaking of being turned up,
yeah.
How are you doing?
Oh, man, I am not turned up, but I'm doing well. I wish I was. This weekend I was turned up, but it was a good time. Like I said, family's doing good. Everything's going well, and enjoying 2020 so far. So.
Nice. Like you said, now that we have the mic hooked up, we were talking about the success of the last Cape Championship Wrestling show. We were talking about One Night Riot 3?
Yeah, One Night Riot 3. At the AC, what did Jimmy Hart say? The ACW Brase Arena in Cape Girardeau. No, we had a great time. Jimmy Hart, just for the record, if anybody wants to know, is a super nice guy. One of the nicest guys you can meet in the wrestling business. Super, super professional. Great dude. Carlito was a great guy. Awesome. We had a good show. 400 plus people there. Looks like they enjoyed a long night of wrestling, and they got their money's worth. That's for sure. So,
see if y'all just start charging by the match.
Yeah. That would be that'd work out well if we did that.
Or by the worker.
We couldn't have done that one then because we had a lot of workers back there in the back. I don't know if I've ever had a list that long. I don't even know I can't remember if we did a 30-man battle royal before. I think it was only like 20.
Right. I was going to ask you. I was like, what brought up the idea of doing the 30-person battle royal?
That's right, person.
Don't be trying to get the social justice warriors coming after me.
No, not you. I wanted to, it was the weekend of the Royal Rumble, and normally that's got 30 people in that one, so I wanted to kind of be close to it, and when you do 30, sometimes gives you the opportunity to use other guys that you normally wouldn't use on a show, to give guys a chance to shine, to bring them in, let them do some stuff. We have so many people that ask to come in and wrestle. They just flood, the Facebook Messenger, email, you've seen it, and it's crazy. But, with those, it's an opportunity to say, hey, I don't really have a storyline right now. I don't have anything that I could use you for, but if you want to come in this battle royal, show me what you got, impress me. This is the time for it. So it was fun. It was a good time.
And not like some of them other companies out there in the mid-southern area who have tryouts where they pay to try. You didn't make anybody pay to get into the Rumble.
No one had to pay.
Or the Riot, I mean.
Yeah, no one paid to get into the Riot. We did have a tryout before the show.
Yeah. And
I think we had 8 new trainees come from that, and no one paid to try out either. It's a good opportunity to give a lot of people that ask, say, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. Well, here's your chance. Let's see if you can do it. And we had got a lot of good reaction from it, and a lot of people made a lot of, yeah, I'm going to be there, I'm going to do this, and they came out and tried their best, and it was fun. It's a good time to give I think we told before we erased it. Wrestling's fun, and that's one thing that it's hard to be that big because there's so much negativity going around right now in wrestling. It's always, if you like this company, you got to hate this one. If you like that guy, you got to hate this one. And it's not like that, man. I mean, yeah, I'm an AEW fan. I enjoy their product. That's what kind of product that I wanted to bring to Cape. When we started booking this, I didn't want it to be a Tennessee area where most of the time that's where I booked and helped run shows up there. I wanted to do something different, and there's this opportunity to do that, and it's fun to have guys from everywhere come and you get along, and we have the best. Our locker room. Everybody's getting along. They're laughing. They're joking. We keep that baby mama crap out of the locker room. I don't want any of it. I have zero patience for it, to be honest with you.
But wait, you let your baby mama in the locker room?
Hey, she's earned it. She's had my babies. No, but the drama that comes with it, a lot of these places when you go, there's this girl's trying to get backstage so she can hook up with this guy, and she's married to this other guy, and there's just, I've seen it all through the years, and boy, if we ever get into it, I could tell you some stories about some stuff I've seen. But
well, I was going to say, one part of this podcast is going to be, I've talked about a lot going through the history of CCW, and I definitely want to look at year one. It's a shorter year, but I could definitely say end of year one, end of year one, beginning of year two. I would say that we almost wasn't at the end of year one, beginning of year two, where we kind of was afraid we were going to have that problem and we had to nip it in the bud pretty quick.
We've had a couple of times like that. That wasn't between year and two. That was actually between year 2 and 3.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was between year 1 and 2.
No. It was between year 2 and 3 that happened. That started happening during that late summer right there. During our first trip to Chaffee.
Our first trip to Chaffee was that the VFW?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't really counting that. I was counting the outdoor show, the carnival that we did. The
dreaded outdoor show.
Yeah, the German Day, which, by the way, they're moving to August, from my understanding, which is...
Well, I remember they said they were talking about it.
That would be a great idea, because it was cold.
But then it'll be hot.
Can I cuss on this?
I do have an explicit rating.
Okay, good. It was freaking cold out there, guys. But everybody's out there and they're working, cash boarding. I was looking at him; he's shivering, and I just remember I was like, "Man, this sucks." It was a fun show. God bless our fans. They come out and they'll stand in the weather. It wasn't a whole bunch, but the ones that came out there were awesome, and it was just a good time.
Well, for the most part, there were one or two that were...
Well, I say our fans. Yeah. There were some out there that...
The drunken locals.
Yeah, that just wanted to yell and stuff like that. But, our fans that come out there, I personally think our dedicated fans are the best fans. Mm-hmm. And they support people that support us. When I'm talking to other companies about sponsorship and stuff, I'm like, hey, what's cool is the people that support us will support you too, and just for supporting us. So it's a great fan base to have.
It's small business helping support small business.
Exactly. And I even go from there. There's Robert Young, always give him a shout out. He's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. I love going to talk to him and after shows or during shows to see how he's doing and hear his feedback.
Big shout out from the Big Leagues World podcast going out to Robert Young.
Yeah.
He puts over everything that I do. He helps supports it.
He does.
And I appreciate the love on that. So big shout out to Robert Young on that.
Yep. He's definitely one of my favorites. And there's so many, the people that have been there from really the beginning, the Jeff Sins and Tammy and Awesome Wyatt. And when I start naming off people, Big Nasty, Caleb.
Well, let's talk about Caleb Carter.
Yeah.
He's got his podcast he's started now.
Yes, he is.
It's the Four Sides Podcast.
Yep.
So this is Tuesday, right?
Yes.
We decided that before we started recording.
Correct.
It's Tuesday. So tomorrow, he is announcing his first guest.
Oh.
That he is going to record with.
Uh-oh.
So.
Oh, I'm excited. I bet I know who it is. No, but yeah, I actually, he messaged me and asked if he could do some interviews. And look, here's the thing, like.
Well, you wouldn't even let me do interviews there.
What? You asked Ken to do them, remember?
Yeah. You should have knew Ken wouldn't showed up when he didn't promote the post.
That's true. He knew he wasn't coming to, like, I'm not
right.
ready.
He's like, I'm not sharing that. I don't want him to.
I don't want the pressure coming.
Right.
But back to Caleb. Like Caleb from beginning of CCW when he the very first show he was there. I remember he was on a picture of the Southeast Missourian giving a high five to Brandon and Brandon Barbwire. And I remember since then, and it's almost like I've seen him grow up and mature, and he's doing a great job. I mean, He's going to all these shows. He did ring announcing the other day, and I'm super proud of the dude, man. That's kind of what we, kind of
what we strive for.
Yeah. I had, I was sitting there, some of these guys that come in and wrestle, we've been friends for a long time, a really, really long time. Jackson Crowley, probably one of my best friends. He was at my house just the other day, and he was talking about the impact that we've made just in this area. And when we sit back, it's really true. We've affected people's lives, what they do, the encouragement they get and all that. So
still crazy to me that Big Nasty got a CCW tattoo.
That's awesome. Like Big Nasty he never misses a show. He's always there. And, one of our best fans, and his whole family. There are just so many. Like I said, I don't want to get in calling names, a whole bunch of them, because I'm going to leave people out. But we have so much support. And truthfully, each individual person that comes and buys a ticket, it means something.
It does.
And we had an incident at the last show. I don't know if you know about this, but JJ, who is just out of training, but still training, still really new. He decided that he was a heel that night. He was with Baracus, and shout out to my boy Baracus. Big B. He was trying to get in there and get a little heat. And there was a young fan. He had his sign, it's my birthday. And all these guys were going around, they were signing it. And then JJ picks it up, leaving out the ring, and just tears it up. And
I love it.
It's great for a heel thing, but people don't realize that normally the people you do that to are smart fans. Like if he would have did that to Caleb or Big Nasty, it wouldn't have been so bad as doing it to a holy it would have been so bad doing it to a kid. Yeah. And especially a kid that comes, enjoys the wrestling, ruin this kid's life. So, and JJ felt really bad about it, but I helped save the day with some autographs from all the guys that signed it, and we took some stuff out there. And this kid already he had an LA Hustler shirt on, so you know what that means.
He already makes poor decisions.
Yeah, exactly. No, but no, we try to take care of them. That's kind of what we do, because something like that, something small that we do for people, you don't even realize it sometimes. Yep. It makes such a big difference in their life. And, that's kind of what we do. That's why, I try to always promote doing the suicide walks and going out and supporting different things and supporting our community, because they support us for, 4 years now. So, pretty crazy. And I know we're going to talk about the first year, which had some interesting times.
It did.
Yeah.
Still some of them I don't know if I can talk about, but
maybe. We'll see. Let's talk about it.
But speaking of which, so let's go back to the other part that got cut out here. We're talking about the CCW One Night Riot 3 show, and people are finally learning what I was trying to say from the get-go, that your boy Slammer's a terrible person.
Either he bashed at the beach, turned on Jackson Crowley, and I love it personally. I thought it was great. And just telling Slammer what the deal was and what was going to happen, just his reaction was complete shock. It's like if I told him that Hulk Hogan was here. That's the kind of look that he had on his face. He was so happy that Jimmy Hart was there, and and I put him as helping Jimmy do all the pictures and autographs. And Slammer's such a good dude, and he's always been really cool. And it's good to see make that guy's dreams come true and stuff like that. And the fans, you can tell. Like, I seen him put a picture out the other day. Like, that's all he ever wanted to do is be a wrestler,
right?
Nice opportunity. We're not some of these big companies, like your AEWs or whatever else, even MLW. We're not that kind of production, but the stuff we do, I think we bring really quality wrestling and fun for the family. And
so my question is, when are you going to bring me in to cut the Vince Russo Bash at the Beach 2000 promo against Hulk Hogan or Slammer Hogan?
As soon as we book Jeff Jarrett for you to manage, I think we can do that. Is he going to lay down for him?
Probably.
Bring Jeff in just to lay down for Slammer? That'd be great. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize how... First off... People don't realize how close it was that Jeff Jarrett almost came here.
A couple times. But Super Show for sure.
I don't know if you know this or not, but as of, I guess, last I checked, it was the end of December. But Jeff Jarrett actually still follows us on the CCW Instagram.
Oh, nice. I did not know that. So, I know he did for a while.
Yeah.
And, Jeff... Really cool. Have you met Jeff, right?
Yeah, I've met Jeff.
Okay. Super nice guy.
Super nice.
And, one of those... He's what I like to call the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's...
He gets it.
Yeah. He kind of understands. And he knows the struggle, too, of running a company. But the dude is... he's one of those that he's all about his money, too. And he knows that he's got to get what he's got to get. And he's doing certain things. And... unfortunately, it didn't work out, but hey, a lot of stuff did work out for us.
And for him, I think it kind of worked out a little. He got to go somewhere else and work. So
yeah, exactly. He wasn't,
And I think that's one of the things, like with the business, is you get those guys that, which is actually one of the questions we'll talk about here in a little bit that we were asked on the socials.
Oh yeah,
but is you get those guys that really understand it. Two guys that also really understood the business. Talking to them quite a bit, which don't surprise you probably, was Homicide and Hernandez.
Yeah.
Like, just talking with them and kind of trying to arrange how we wanted to do things. Their response was always, hey, you're the one cutting us the check. You tell us what you want to do. And it's like, with us, it's always been a partnership. So, anytime we bring in anybody, it's kind of like, hey, we were never that demanding company. It's like, hey, we got to have it this, and this. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, you tell us what you want to do, and we'll tell you what we need to happen, and let's get some kind of happy medium. Or, if your goal is what our goal is, then, hey, we'll go with it. We're good like that.
Exactly. Well, and here, too, in Missouri, you got to, the wrestlers aren't just going to come in and wrestle. They're going to have to go through a little bit of blood work, physicals, getting that sent in, getting that taken care of. So they got to work a little bit to work here.
Because if they don't, you can ask Impact Wrestling what happens.
They will not wrestle. And to go back to, just a side note, Caleb Carter, I'm glad he's not covering Impact back in the day because he could 4 sides, it wouldn't have worked. But the guys that come in here and worked were, Homicide and Hernandez. They were great, and they worked, did everything that we asked, and they put on a great show. And to be honest, they're 2 really great guys, that, if we're still friends with Hernandez right now,
I talk to Hernandez about every day.
Yeah. So, I mean,
a lot of stuff that we can't talk about on the podcast, but
I thought you had an explicit rating.
I do, but some of that stuff, I think even would still get us kicked off the...
Possibly. I either way, like I said, I've been really lucky to the people that we've had here. When you sit back and think about it, it's pretty crazy. Starting off with Ricochet, him coming in and, having his match here and in front of pretty much his hometown. Oh, gosh. We start naming down people. I mean, it's so much.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Murdoch was at our first show.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah, so I know we're going to cover that. We'll cover all the first year. And
well, I tell you what, since you're so gun-ho there to jump the gun on the first year.
Jeez, all right.
Let's go ahead. We were actually talking about this before we started recording, that neither one of our memories is worth very much these days. And so we're having to reference...
Missouri legalized CBD.
Right.
CBD.
But anyways, we're going to have to reference the official Cape Wrestling website, which you yourself can check out at home at capewrestling.com.
Exactly. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. You can go back at a roster and histories and all sorts of stuff.
And you can learn that in the beginning of time, we're not going to start with... There's plenty of episodes, many of podcasts out there where we talked about how CCW started.
Mm-hmm.
But what we really want to do is cover kind of all the stuff that happened backstage and all the fun, juicy stuff that we may not necessarily could have talked about back then or recently. So let's start at the first show. I would have to say, the one thing that's always certain in the wrestling business is cards subject to change.
Yeah.
And I think you have to admit, those first couple of months, we tested the cards subject to change. Well, I mean, we didn't test it. It tested us.
It did test us. Especially the first one was probably the hardest. But it also, let me just add that it also produced probably the best results possible out of it. I got to see who some people really were, how they acted, and then we got to find some diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, because looking at this roster here, or looking at the initial flyer here, of Cape Comic Con and Cult to Kayfabe presents Cape Championship Wrestling. No name for the show.
Yeah.
Look at that. No names needed.
It was just Cape Championship Wrestling.
Looking at what was on the actual flyer here, half these matches didn't happen, and some of these guys, I have no idea who they are. Still to this day, I don't.
Now, let me see what they got up there. I'll tell you who they are.
Who's Mad Dog Dan Sawyer?
Mad Dog Dan Sawyer was a guy from Alabama. He wrestled, had his own organization in Alabama. He was he's a pretty decent worker, but never, crazy enough, never made his way up here. So,
yeah, I mean,
was supposed to, but never made his way up here. Did that one also have Veronica on it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit, and Veronica Fairchild.
We went through a couple different people. It was supposed to be her. It was supposed to be Stacey O'Brien at one time.
I don't know who Veronica Fairchild is.
Veronica was a wrestler in the Tennessee area, Alabama. Her dad owned, and she worked. She was trained with Shawn Michaels a little bit, so
did she have a tie to this Mad Dog Dan Sawyer?
Yes. They were both in Alabama at the time. So, and you can see her in the feature film Jumanji, the number 2. She's in that. Is number 2 the first remake, or is it the one that just came out? The one that just came out.
I wasn't very good.
Yeah, I don't know. She was The Rock.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't know what part she was, but she was in the movie, so which is really cool. She's a super nice woman, and she's a good friend. So
okay, that's awesome. So looking at this card was set to be the inaugural show to crown the CCW heavyweight title.
Yes,
I remember going. Actually, I remember maybe a month. Let's see here. This was at the end of July, so this had to be at the end of June. I remember all of us here at the house, at the apartment, at the notorious Big Lee's Boom Boom Room. One of these days, I'm going to slip up and give the address here.
Yeah, well,
it's okay. I give people the address here, and they still get lost. All the buildings look the same. So,
but if you could, they could send gifts.
That's right. They could send gifts.
Yeah, or maybe get a PO box.
Yeah, my only fear is like the people that listen to my podcast. I don't know if I'd want them to send surprises anywhere.
Oh, well, it could just be gift cards to Krispy Kreme.
I'm not a big Krispy Kreme fan.
All right, we can't talk anymore about this. Go back to the wrestling.
Hey, you can always send digital gift cards to bigleesworld@gmail.com, especially Cracker Barrel ones. I don't know if you can send Cracker Barrel digital cards.
All right, just send me those damn biscuits.
Right. Or, hey, just DM me and say, hey, I want to take you out for breakfast, Big Lee.
That'll work.
I'm like, hey. So, like I said, I remember talking about this month. We're trying to figure out getting a plan of action, something in the local community to get it going. And it was to find, what we wanted to do was find somebody local to be the first GM.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And do you remember who our first choice was going to be? He's like, no.
I remember who it ended up being.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was the first choice.
He wasn't. He was the second.
He was the second. Was the first one Kirby?
Yes.
Okay, Kirby Ray.
So, it's funny. I remember suggesting it to you and Ken. It's like, hey, Kirby Ray with Real Rock 99.3. Like, he's really big in the area. People love him. You know, let's try to reach out to him and let's see what we can do to get something going. I knew that I would be seeing him a couple of days later at the Lawless Harley Davidson?
Yep.
When they were doing their 4th of July thing and they had Jackal out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ran into him. I saw him. I was like, hey, man, this is what I have going on. Do you want to be a part of it and come in as our GM? And he said, no.
Yeah.
He was like, no, wrestling's not, I'm not a big wrestling person. It's not really my thing to be a part of. Reach out to this guy.
Hunter Hendricks.
Yeah.
Double H.
Yep. So I actually DM'd him on Twitter, kind of explained to him, and he jumped on the opportunity.
Yeah.
So now we had our local celebrity to kind of help get out there and help move some tickets. So with that being said, let's go into the card here. For the heavyweight title. I'm apparently not too good at reading on the spot here.
Well, you can tell me who it was. I don't know if it's actually the people in it.
Actually, they put the results on here.
Okay.
Where, so it was, first off, is the Cult of Kayfabe still a thing?
Yes, they are still on Facebook. They're still a big thing. It's just, it doesn't get a lot of attention around where it was a lot bigger a couple years ago around here. But yeah, still going.
Because I left the group because it just got too much nonsense, too much people complaining.
Oh, so you were in a group with wrestling fans and there was complaining?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's crazy.
Dude, on a side note to all this, anybody that knows, like, I pretty well, like, my interest step away from mainstream wrestling and focus really on deathmatch wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, when I left the Cult of Kayfabe, that put me, like, oh, what am I going to follow for deathmatch wrestling? So, joined the deathmatch Facebook group. You know, it's the same thing. All they do is complain. So I joined a different one, and all they do is complain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, good God, people. Like, enjoy wrestling without complaining so much.
It's really hard nowadays.
So, anyways, with that being said, so we go, it looks like, according to this, the first match was Brandon Barbed Wire defeats Sexy Sarge O'Reilly with Jeff Odell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, this was Brandon face, hometown hero.
Well, yeah, actually at that time, Jeff Odell was not with Brandon. Jeff Odell was just scouting. He wasn't with anybody in that match. He wrestled, like I said, Sarge and Brandon wrestled the first match. Brandon was actually the babyface and Sarge was the heel.
Mm-hmm.
So,
was you worried about bringing Sarge Cape for first night out?
No. The thing about Sarge is he... during that time, I didn't have a whole lot of... We were on a pretty tight budget. And I didn't have the outreach that I do now. So, the people that I wanted to use... Brandon, Sarge... I'm trying to bring... Brandon, Sarge, Billy Hills... and then there was Jeff... And...
You really don't want to say the guy's name, do you?
A little bit. No, well, because... Okay, I'll kind of get into that here in just a second. But it's not the... I'm forgetting one major person. I can't remember who it is that I always wanted to use in that I knew was going to give me...
Well, I mean, there's only 4 people in the tournament.
Well, in the tournament, yeah. But Osby. That's what it was. Because Osby actually ended up retiring that night because of an injury. He actually... I think he ended up breaking his neck a couple months beforehand with Isaiah and the DDT that he took. So
the Ashley McClure Memorial Show.
Yes, the Ashley McClure Show in Tennessee. He was working him and he was working Isaiah and Too Tough Tony. Mm-hmm. Ended up taking Tornado DDT and breaking his neck. But those were like my
after
5.
Vader came out there and threw a fit.
That was after 5, 5 guys that I knew I could trust. And everything else was kind of a learning experience. There was another local guy that was there, Jason Vaughn. And
well, hold on. You're skipping ahead.
Sorry.
So, we covered the Sarge here.
Yep.
So, we talked about Osby dropping the KOK title.
Yep.
He retired.
Yep.
Did they ever have another champion after him?
No, because he kept the belt, because it was really nice.
Yeah, it was a really nice belt, I will say that.
It was great. It's in his trophy case.
So, you're saying that Osby's a belt mark?
Osby did not want to, and I agree with him. Like
He owns the belt, don't he?
Yeah, well, a guy made it for him
and
gave it to him. So there was a lot of people wanting him to work for, like wrestle around with it and drop it. At one time, he was supposed to lose it to Chris Hero, and Chris Hero was supposed to go defend it for the KOK thing, but it didn't end up working out, and it worked for the best. He has the title put up at his house, and it's nice.
Right. So with that being said, we go on to the next match. Farmer Billy Hills with Sweet Sarah Summers defeats Fury Jason Vaughn.
Yes. This was our first issue that we had. I don't know if you remember this, but there was some calls to, because I kind of booked the show. I knew how I wanted to go. I knew how I wanted it to be and how everything to work out. That's when we got the famous line from Jason Vaughn, "Why would I lose to a guy that looks like that?" Mm-hmm. And that's also the time that I knew, like, this guy's not going to be a future CCW guy. He'll be here for a while, until I can figure everything out. But to me, that
he's filler.
Yeah, because here's the thing: Billy Hills, no matter if he was baby or heel, was more over than that guy would ever be anywhere. And
shout out to Billy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joshua.
Yeah, shout out to Joshua. But yeah, no, Billy was a professional first and foremost, which when he said that to me and he was threatening not to come to the show because he had to lose, that showed that he was not one to me. But he ended up coming. He did what we said do, and then we kind of went on from there. But yeah, that was the kind of backstory. That was the first drama we ever had at CCW, really.
Followed by the second drama, the professional Farmer Billy Hills making people cry.
He's a heel. That's what he's supposed to do. He did it.
Yeah. You put over Billy for being a heel, but you get on to JJ for tearing up some kid's sign.
Hey, but that was verbal, not physical. Big difference. Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is there. But yeah, Billy went on to face Brandon for the championship.
We're not there yet.
But you just said who won.
No, I didn't. I said who won that match.
Yeah, but there was only
But there was more matches.
Well, yeah, but they won for the title.
Next up, Davey Vega.
Yeah.
Versus some, I don't know who this Hollis Dro guy is.
Hollis Dro, man. Like, he, this is what I was talking about earlier.
You know him?
Yeah, I know Hollis Dro. This is...
Shout out to Hollis if you're listening to this.
Definitely. I'm going to make sure you listen to it, come tag you in it so you get to hear my thoughts. But first time, I had... Oh, gosh, I don't even remember what his name was then. But it was another guy on the card we're going to talk about in another match. But
the next match.
Yeah, so we had a couple people fall out, and the guy called me. He's like, "Hey, I got this kid. He's new, but he can come down. He's okay in the ring." And he came in, and I gave him a match with Davey Vega, and Hollis did pretty well. And
because I think Davey had just gotten back from Japan at this time.
Davey was, he just got back from that. We just went and seen him like the month before against Sanjay Dutt over there in Marion and had a great match. And, if you know Davey now, he's freaking awesome. I mean, he's the best in the world, is one of the best tag team, probably the best indie tag team out there that's not signed yet. But
I don't know about that.
I agree. I think they are. I mean, they're the Evolved Tag Team Champions. They're pretty legit. But
when it comes to me and the best indie tag team out there, I'm loyal to my boys.
Yeah.
The Rejects.
Yeah, I know you are. But I mean, I'm talking about people like the Rejects wrestle when, they don't go to Evolve and stuff. I'm just talking about like people that would get signed. You know.
So why are you scared to book the rejects?
Not that I'm scared to book the rejects. It's just one of those things where I don't know if what they're good at and it doesn't really fit into what Missouri allows. Like if I was running the rejects, you could bring them and start. I don't even know if they want to come to Tennessee, but if you brought them into Tennessee and let them run an angle, it would get over huge. They would go good because they can go into that line of doing hardcore stuff and still doing. Here, you're in such a small bubble. Like even some of the guys that we were talking about last night that do just risque stuff, not even hardcore stuff, doesn't necessarily fit what ownership or what might be, okay in the Bible Belt. I think we were pushing it with Joey Ryan. I just love Joey and people love him, and it got over. But
I still think a great match would be the Hustlers and the Rejects.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next Cage Chaos.
Maybe next Cage Chaos. Maybe if we end up doing that show, I didn't even tell you that, but this guy wanted to talk to us about doing a fair in Pulaski County.
Yeah.
So
it's in Illinois.
Yeah, so that would give us something pretty cool there. But yeah.
Let's just make sure, I don't know if Bradley listens to the podcast. Probably not.
I doubt it.
Then
we get internet for 2 hours in Arkansas from 6 to 8. So
that's true. That's true. And usually by then he's already in bed, so.
Exactly.
But, if this case, I've told him I want to have him on a guest on here. I probably have to explain to him what a podcast is.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, if that's the case, let's keep it a secret. Because I don't want him to necessarily try to figure out who the rejects are. I want it to be a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So, anyways, Vega, this Hollis guy.
Yeah. Like I was saying about Hollis, the thing that he had a good match.
Yep.
It wasn't a great match, but it was good. And it was solid. There was nothing that I look back on like, oh man, you need to do this. The thing that got me with Hollis is he stayed after the show and he helped break down the ring, put it up before, and then he still had a 6-hour drive back. And right then I told myself, I'm going to use this kid going forward. And we've had a lot of guys come in here and wrestle and stuff, but I feel like from beginning to end, from building a guy and working with them until they're at now, Hollis is probably number one on that list.
I would honestly have to say, I love Hollis. Anybody that knows, Hollis and I are like this. But I have to attribute a lot of CCW success to a guy like Hollis.
Mm-hmm. Well, our main goal was to build our own stars.
Right.
That was always the goal. And, I have to have, when I'm booking matches, I take a little bit more responsibility because I want to put on good matches, but I also, for young guys, I want to put them in situations where they can learn. That's the big thing about Marco. He is like the guy here,
right.
Like when people talk about CCW, they talk about Marco. It just goes hand in hand. And, but Marco didn't come in as a big superstar. He come in as a bodyguard for Jeff O'Dell. He was Jeff O'Dell's bodyguard. Okay. And then we built him for that. Like, he wrestled Austin. People got to see what he can do. And then he just went more and more and more and just built him up. And that's kind of what I like to do. And
so you're welcome, Tony Khan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Checks in the mail, right? Hopefully to me. I'm not paying Tony Khan. Yeah. But
that's my question
is awesome,
is will AEW cut CCW a check for helping get some of their roster already licensed? I was thinking about that and Ring of Honor.
I doubt they will, but it's good for those guys that they've wrestled here before and they have to go through all that stuff and
they can sit back and laugh.
Yeah, I don't have to do the blood work anymore in physical. Well, the commission's kind of changed that and loosened up a little bit. They give us a year instead of 6 months now. That's a big help. But anyway, to go back to it, Hollis was probably the bright star out of that night that, is still with the company. He worked our first show. I don't know if Hollis ever missed a show, maybe 1 or 2 out of 4 years. And that's something crazy.
So shout out to Hollis. Much love, brother. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Next up, I think Okay, I skipped a line here. Jake Durden defeats Genesis.
Genesis.
Oh, Genesis.
That was really interesting.
So do you think it was a smart decision to book Jake Durden to beat up Phil Collins?
Let me tell you, I don't think there could have been a better. Phil Collins gets a lot of heat, and I think it's well deserved. And people want to see him get beat up.
Yeah.
But having Jake is all. I've always been a Jake Durden fan. Even today, he's wrestled for us a lot during the years, and he even took that little break to work for whatever the name was up in.
Was it the NWL?
NWL, yeah, up in that area, and when he came back, he came and killed it. And I mean, he's a guy that I don't know why he isn't like signed to some of these major promotions, because I think he's super talented. But Nemesis had a cool story too, because after that match,
Nemesis.
What was his name?
Genesis.
Genesis. Sorry, it doesn't matter. That name lasted for one show. I think one or two shows, but after that, he became the Blaster and became a fan favorite, and
he did.
Yeah, people ended up loving him, so that was really cool.
He was one of the first people I seen at CCW who probably made more at his gimmick table than he did in his PO.
Oh yeah.
So, with that being said, next match on the card, Little Bit defeats Diamond Doll.
Diamond Doll in Little Bit. Yep. Very first women's match at CCW. Yeah, I mean, it kind of built onto the feud. I think Sarah actually got in there too, and those with Nikki Lane, those are the first four females that pretty much ran CCW for years, really. I mean, they were going back and forth. Diamond Doll, I don't think she doesn't really work anymore. She doesn't get in the ring. She's kind of moved along with her career, but
a little piece of my heart broke when she quit coming to CCW.
Yeah. And it was nothing that was, she was just kind of looking out for herself.
Right.
And I always agree with that. There's two things I say. You got to work family first when it comes to wrestling, and you got to take care of yourself, because the matches, the money, it's not going to matter, the money. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting hurt where you can't live your life anymore? So I'm very encouraging of people. If they want to step away, I want them to step away and get better. And, when they want to come back, then come to me. But Diamond Doll was awesome. She was great to have. And, that was a pretty good match. It really got, I don't know how many people watch women's wrestling live before that here. I'm sure WWE came and had their matches and stuff, but independent, I don't think there was really that much around for then.
I mean, I remember
Awesome Kong.
Yeah, Awesome Kong versus Mischief. That was like 07, 08.
Yeah,
when the NWA and TNA split and they had to drop the belt and put it on Mischief. So with that being said, main event, Barbed Wire defeats Farmer Billy Hills with Sweet Sarah Summers to become the first CCW champion. This included the heel turn from Billy.
Yeah.
And this led to Jake Durden coming to the... Jake Durden came to ringside to make the save. Who did he save? I guess he saved Vaughn.
I'll tell you how it went. So, Billy and Brandon wrestle. Brandon...
Wait, it's Billy and Brandon. They didn't wrestle. They wrestled. Sorry. So, Brandon ended up, winning the match. Afterwards, Sarge came out and, let me think. Sarge came out and they were going to jump Brandon. Brandon turned, and Jason Vaughn came running out to make the save. 2 babyface, 2 heels. Brandon turned on Vaughn. All 3 of them with Jeff Odell. Jeff, Billy, Sarge, and Brandon just started beating down Vaughn. Durden came out, made the save, ran everybody off. And it was the first, it was our first show, and we already had a heel turn in the main event, and it really set the tone. People got excited about it. People were like, holy crap. So then this led to Durden getting a title shot at the next show.
Absolutely.
But what I want to point out here, this the headliner of the night was Trevor Murdoch. However, Trevor Murdoch did not wrestle.
Yeah.
Is it true that he was hurt, or did he not want to get his blood work physical?
There was a situation with him being cleared to wrestle by his physician, and he was not able to wrestle. He still came and signed and stuff, but he did not do anything in the ring.
All right, so let's move to the second show.
Yep.
So at this point, our roles at CCW, going to the first show to the set, going up to the first show, up to the first show to the second show, was you were booking. I handled social media that wasn't Facebook because Ken didn't trust me with the Facebook. That he would trust me enough to deal with Twitter and Instagram because Ken did not know what it was.
Yeah.
Fairly accurate?
I'd say so, yeah.
And then I
didn't know you wasn't on the Facebook.
Yeah, dude, that was a big ordeal. Like, I was with the company at least a year. I want to say up to the first Super Show before I got added to Facebook.
Really?
Because Ken didn't trust me.
Oh, wow.
Because of my demeanor, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, that's kind of where we was at. So, with that show, kind of made reference. Like I said, I didn't work the door. Like, I did the Twitter and the Instagram. But I just kind of filled in for different tasks that needed to be done. Take a couple of side photos to kind of put out as advertisement.
Yeah, Usher, you were like, you helped lead people to the seats.
Mm-hmm. Pseudo security. And I had to go get Billy, go confront Billy. My first time really talking to Billy Hills was to go yell at him over hurting some people's feelings, which I know with y'all's current relationship with management, I won't get into that too much. But, so that was kind of my real first introduction to Billy and what would lead to come further. But we'll get to that in a second. So let's get to the Super Show, or not Super Show, the first Homecoming. Like I said, our roles in the company's pretty well established at this point. Mm-hmm. First match, Tony Kazina, CJ Shine, defeats CJ Shine. Yep. You know, Tony was one of those people I always liked having at CCW. Mm-hmm. He taught me about the business of the wrestling business. Mm-hmm. You know, I always loved the fact that Tony would set up gimmick. He may have a little bit of gimmick of himself, but he would bring wrestling gimmick and dollar toys because he's like, hey, my gimmick may not sell as much as somebody else's, but with these kids, they want these dollar toys and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So he had a great mind for the business. He was a great wrestler.
Well, a lot of people, I don't know if they realize how good Tony was. Mm-hmm. Like Tony Casino was legit, and it still is.
He's somewhere doing it in the Fale Dojo.
Yeah, he is the head trainer for Bad Luck Fale in I think it's New Zealand. Mm-hmm. So he trained some of the best wrestlers, around, and some great guys doing it. I mean, he trained Davey Richards. He trained Kyle O'Reilly.
I start out saying some of the best, and you started with Davey Richards.
Well, I was getting to Kyle.
Okay.
But
the slow build.
Yeah. But Tony was super knowledgeable. Before we even had our first show, I met with Tony at a Starbucks in St. Louis, and we had lunch, and we talked about stuff and talked about, how we want to do stuff, how, he gave me some good advice, mm-hmm. and I really appreciate that. Tony's always been a super nice dude. But yeah, he, CJ, young wrestler coming in for us. I know he still wrestles in the St. Louis area. Hadn't been to CCW in a little while, a couple years, but, Tony got that win, and, I'm sure it was a great match.
Drop Dead Del Wild defeats B.T. Daramola.
Okay.
Here's what I know about Del Wild. He came into one show,
mm-hmm.
and he never came back because he was told that he would never be a star here. He would be a star in the NWA in West Tennessee, which we know how that... If you're a wrestling fan, you know that did not play out because once Billy Corgan bought the NWA, he pulled all the license from all these little territorial companies.
Smart move.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that match. I don't
remember
remember BT that much. I remember his look and everything, but
I was gonna say, I look at it, I have no idea who this is.
yeah,
There's not even a picture of him. Like, I just see the name here, and I'm like, I have no idea.
I remember him a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's kind of a wash match. So,
Hollister defeats Sexy Sarge O'Reilly with Jeff Odell.
Yeah, that was one of the big. Hollis came in the first night. He was kind of a heel versus Vega. And one thing about Sarge, and the reason I like using him so much, is he can get guys over.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I liked Hollis a lot, and I wanted to do something with him. So I let him get the upset on Sarge to really
kind of boost him up.
Yeah, to boost him up, propel him, and let him do some stuff. So that was really good. And then that was I'm sure we'll go into other things, but that was the time that Sarge is actually starting to turn his ways.
Next up, Diamond Dog defeats a little bit in this series of matches. Like I said just a second ago, the fact that Diamond Dog is not wrestling anymore, no longer come around CCW.
She was there at the last show.
Well, why didn't you tell me that when I was there? I would have stayed.
She was gone. I didn't know she was coming, but yeah, she came. She came to the last show because her son is one of the tag team champions now for CCW. Yep. Gage. The King's Court.
And see, if you would have told me that, I would have stayed.
Not
know about the tag part, because I knew that, but...
No, I didn't know she was coming either, so it was a surprise.
Yeah, I ended up going a little bit just backstage, because Mr. Wells called me to panic over a plane ticket printing.
God bless Jimmy Hart. That whole using your phone to get on the airplane doesn't work for him.
But like I said, honestly, the best part about it was I was hanging out with my neighbor, and we were getting ready to go out to the local arcade here and hang out for a little bit before the fight Saturday night. And that's when he got the call, and he went with me because he's in the car. He went with me there to drop the paperwork off, and Jimmy was in a panic, and he's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And my buddy is on the heads of TSA here, so he's kind of like, yeah,
we're pretty sure. Pretty sure, Jimmy. Just trust me.
Yeah. Next up, the Missouri Wrestling Revival Championship.
Ugh.
Yeah. SVE defeats Farmer via pinfall.
That's cool.
Do you regret having Missouri Wrestling Revival over here?
No, I don't regret it at all. I mean, at the beginning, it was good because we were going to get publicity from the Missouri Wrestling Revival, which was, looked at Missouri. A lot of people looked at their website. A lot of people followed them. So anytime we can get anything like that, it was good. Later on down the line, it became a nuisance more than...
So we can't give away the big secret?
Well, I don't even know what the big secret is, I don't think. The match that never happened? Are you talking about that?
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
You talking about like the parking lot thing?
No. Well, the Boiler Room Brawl match.
Oh, the Boiler Room. I thought it was parking lot brawl.
No, it was Boiler Room Brawl, but...
no, I meant like... Never mind. We shouldn't pull back that curtain, should we?
I don't know what you're talking about, so I guess we shouldn't if I don't know what you're talking about. So,
do you not remember why there was going to be the Boiler Room Brawl match? About certain things not being authorized?
Well, yeah.
So is that is that one of those things that we can't really talk about?
Well, with the Missouri Wrestling Revival Championship, it came with a lot of rules, and they had their own set. And when you're doing like stuff we do with storylines and stuff, it can, unless you just have an exhibition match, it can add a lot of stuff on that you don't want. So
but nobody wants an exhibition match. When you come to CCW, you have top level talent matches. And if that's the case, it should not matter what the result of that match is. If a belt changes hands, our talent that we brought in was good enough to have that belt.
Yeah, I agree. So, and like I said, it was okay for the first while doing it, but maybe the first year, half a year, and then after that, it came harder and harder. So
next up, Brandon Barbar defeats Jake Durden via pinfall to retain the CCW championship.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember much about this match.
Yeah, it was.
And when I say let me. What's the word? Is it position? It's not position. It's preface it. Let me preface it with this. and we'll get to that because it's actually the main event, the next match here. This is it's our second show. This is our first time. We had Trevor here for the first show. Well, look at that. We had Trevor the first show, we had Trevor the second show.
Exactly.
So with this one, this was our first real big superstar to come in. And if you don't know about how this is kind of more like behind the scenes stuff I want to talk about, there is a big ticket guy comes in. A lot of that money is made off of the meet and greet.
Mm-hmm.
With him, he was our first big meet and greet. And it still amazes me that Ken wouldn't trust me to be on the Facebook, but he trusted me to be at the meet and greet.
Well, actually, do you remember it wasn't a meet and greet?
So, here's the thing. The way the original deal was set up, we did the meet and eat.
Yes.
Which was a fiasco in itself.
It was crazy.
We never did it. Did we do a second one of those?
No, that was the first and only one.
I remember we had talked about it doing it for Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, because it was just too short a time.
Yeah, we didn't have enough
But we did that. That was an interesting endeavor. And then standing with him at the merch table while he was out there.
Yeah.
Trying to recoup that split.
Yeah.
So my mind was just thinking about that. And then knowing is like, okay, so we gotta get ready because then we're going to do the in-ring photos. So that was pretty well what all I could think about.
Yeah, we definitely did those. Which another little behind the scenes thing when it came to that is, so Ken wanted to do something big, and he wanted to have somebody here that would definitely draw. And the name, do you remember the name that was the first on his list and what was he was wanting to go with?
No.
James Storm.
Really?
That was his. And
I don't remember that.
I feel like I sold him on Ricochet a little bit because, at that time Ricochet just not too long before that had his match with Ospreay, and it was the whole talk of wrestling. And I sold him on that, sold him that he was a local guy and coming back. And I remember during the first show, he announced that he was coming to the second one and got a really good reaction. And that was the first big show we had. I think we had close to 500 people there.
And it definitely became a history match with Ricochet defeating the best of the best, Austin Lane.
Yeah, and Austin Lane's debut at CCW. And that match, no one knew... I searched high and low for an opponent, and my wife said, "Hey, why don't you use Austin?" And I thought about it for a little while, and I was like, "You know what? Yeah, let's use Austin." And it was probably one of the best decisions that we made, thanks to her. It was a good one because what it did, it made Austin Lane a star here after Ricochet left, and that was really cool. But they had such an awesome match. I mean, Austin went toe to toe with Ricochet, and was there with him, high flying, and did it all. So it was good.
So with that, everything kind of stayed the same here. We move on to the best of the best, the third show. Now, after this show, we'll get into some of the transitions that was made. But we'll quickly go through this one. Hollister defeats CJ Shine. Mm-hmm. Jason Vaughn defeats Blaster in a double countout. Little Bit defeated Diamond Doll in an I Quit match. Mm-hmm. Was this the blow-off, or was there another match after this?
I think that was the blow-off match.
Okay. Sexy Sarge defeated Farmer Billy by disqualification. SP defeated Ace Hawkins. And then the main event, the best of the best Austin Lane with Psycho defeated CCW champion Brandon Barbwire to become the number one contender for the CCW championship.
Mm-hmm. Started their history together.
Mm-hmm. This was big for me because it was our first introduction of bringing Psycho to Cape.
Yeah.
And
I remember a lot of stuff about that night. And a lot of stuff that had to do with Psycho. If people don't know, we lost Psycho back last year. And Psycho, for me personally, was a big influence on my life in wrestling. Because the first ever wrestling match I had, he was in it. First person ever made me bleed in a match, it was him. There was he loved my wife. Like him and Pappy were big fans of my wife. They went together. He called her, they would always do the love you a lot a bit. And, they do all that kind of stuff. And it was really cool. And, Psycho was, I always had different guys as kind of like my mentors. I kind of looked for. Sarge was a different, but they were different people, like Sarge. And Psycho was definitely one that I could call and get advice from and talk to. And, he was gone a long time. Like, I think he didn't wrestle maybe a year or two before he came to CCW. Mm-hmm. And we started promoting him, building him up, doing all this stuff. And I remember when he came out, the smile on his face because the crowd was chanting Psycho.
Right.
But no one really knew who he was. It was just the buildup that we created for him. And he came back to the back and looked at me like, how the hell does anybody know who I am? I'm like, dude, we just built you up as that monster and you went out there and killed it. I remember, I think, did he do in-ring photos with Austin?
Yes, because I remember telling him about this and he looked at me like I was crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, wait, nobody's going to pay for a picture with me.
Dude, we sold
a bunch of photos with
I will
Austin
say,
the photos with Austin and Psycho, we probably sold more than there were some guys that we brought in. Well, there's some guys that went to WWE after us and we sold more photo ops with them, too, than we did with it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really cool. And it made me feel good that I could give back to him. Mm-hmm. Because I think he really deserved it. I feel like, unfortunately, he was cut short in his life from doing what Psycho had some good runs. People knew who he was. There's stuff with him and Necro Butcher, that you sent me. There's stuff, him and Pondo were really close. He did the hardcore rounds and he did all the stuff, but
him and Crazy, I guess, was it Sarah Logan now?
Yeah, Crazy Mary, they did their stuff. I feel like if he was still around and healthy and had another year or two before he got sick, and he could come here and wrestle, he would have been something here. Like,
because what a lot of people don't realize is like, there was a lot of chat through group chat with the three of us trying to work deals to get him, before everything got really bad, for him to come in and actually wrestle.
Well, and another unfortunate part is during that time that he tried that, he got rejected by his doctor because of his heart. It wouldn't pass the test and stuff, which it really did suck. But in the end, when it looked back, and you always ask, is there something I could have done different or whatever? When someone passes away. And this one, I think we kind of made him his last, when he looks back at his last memories in wrestling, I think he would have been really happy about his stuff here. Because he came back again and did the same, did a couple things with us after that. But
my only regret is we didn't push him hard enough to get fully physical and licensed when he was here.
Yeah.
Whether we had to cut a few corners or whatever.
Yeah, to get him in there. But yeah, I know he was, when he looked back here, he had fond memories of CCW. I still have the last, maybe it was the last text message that we talked about. He was in the hospital and it was after the Super Show, this last year. He's like, hey man, send me the link to, so I can watch Austin Lane versus Christopher Daniels. I was like, I'll send you the whole link to the whole show. And he said he was watching some movie. He's like, I'm going to watch it right after this. I don't know if he ever did, but he wanted to watch Austin. So
I still have the chair because we needed a chair that night. I remember for a spot, and he used it. And like, he was so worried about it. He's like, man, this is going to get dented. This is going to get hurt. Like, I'm like, that's fine. So I still have that chair over there. That's probably one of my more prized possessions.
Yep.
But, Psycho is one of those things. It's like, I've talked about it before. It's like, one of my first real, like, indie wrestling memories is in Malden, him and James Arnaz. And their terrible decisions to, they start in the back doing a hardcore match. I guess back in those days, Missouri wasn't as strict on the rules. But, anyways.
There was at least a 50% chance that was an outlaw show. Which, if you don't know, an outlaw show is no commissioners. They didn't pay for anything. They're just running the show and hoping they don't get caught.
Exactly. And at that point, they started swinging light tubes as they got closer and closer to the crowd. I was coming back from the concession stand with a hamburger, which at the time, like the people running that wrestling, they make great hamburgers.
Okay.
But Arnez was in the wrong spot. He moved. Psycho swung the light tube and hit me with it. And completely breaks character and just looks. He's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm good. I just want to eat my burger." So that's always my first real memory of Psycho. And then through the years, I remember one of the last shows they ran in Kennett, like in 08, like we ended up actually setting with his, it was his grandparents. Mm. And hey, so it was a good time. Yep. October, we moved. Well, before we get to October, if I get the timeline right, this is where the first time that we had heard that there was a possibility that there was no more CCW.
No, actually, that was
between September and October, I believe.
I think it was before the. Okay, so we got presented before the right after the September show.
This is when we were having all of our meetings at the Popeyes.
Exactly, and Ken was basically told us, "Hey, look, I'm not losing money, but I'm not making any here. I don't know if I can front this money up front. I'm going to do one more show, and then I'm going to head out from there." And he kind of asked if we would come on as partners, but at that time, I knew we had something, right? And there was no way I was going to give up on it. So I was going to go in there, and then you were one of the first, like, let's do it, let's jump on, and that's how we became partners.
And history was made from there.
Exactly, because crazy enough, like the gate for the Brandon Austin was okay. It wasn't like a huge crowd. We may have had like 150 to 200. It wasn't huge, but the poster sales that night with Psycho and them signing everything in Austin, it gave him so he made money on that night. And then we went on after that. And then October was the first one we all joined together.
And that was also the first one we went on the road for.
And we made shirts. You remember that?
Do what?
We made shirts for October in Chaffee.
Yes, I thought you said we made it to church. I was like, no.
No, I would never say that to you.
Anyways, so we make it to Chaffee. October, the first Red Devil's Revenge at the VFW Hall.
The VFW.
It wasn't originally going to be at the VFW.
No, it was supposed to be at the high school, and then the the superintendent shot it down.
But they felt bad.
Well, the principal felt bad. His name was Sid Atkins. He messaged me about. He called me like, "Look, Jason, they're making me pull. I'm really sorry. I got some people at the VFW. They're open that night. I'm actually going to pay for it for you guys." And so he did us a solid. He put our show on there, and it was definitely an interesting night.
Yep, we'll start it out. The headliner for that show, WWE superstar James Ellsworth.
Yep.
Which I had much endeavors with that day.
Yep.
Ken actually went to pick him up from the airport. And Mr. Ellsworth wanted to spend more time sightseeing around than Ken was willing to put into it. Do you remember this?
I remember that. He gave a little bit in St. Louis and then brought him home.
Yep.
Brought him back this way.
Yep, and Ken called in a panic, told me to come get him. So I remember picking him up at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his special lady friend he met the night before.
Yep.
And we went to go eat at the Dexter Barbecue here.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I had some interesting endeavors with him and the waitress.
Yep.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And also we go and we do that, and then we head over to Chaffee. Ellsworth wasn't originally who was going to be there.
Was it going to be someone else?
Yeah. Do you not remember this? It's supposed to be Chuck Taylor.
Was it supposed to be Chuck?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Chuck Taylor. And it ended up, the way it worked out, they were going to be the same price to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened that Ellsworth was on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going with Ellsworth instead.
Mm-hmm.
Think it was the right choice?
Yeah, at the time I think it was. I mean, you got to realize the week after he wrestled for us, he wrestled AJ Styles for the championship on SmackDown. You can't get more, like, lucky. Brandon always tells me, like, man, you just got a horseshoe, stuck up your ass. Because, I mean, the stuff that falls in to your hands, and it has, and it's been quite lucky for us, and we used them. I mean, Ellsworth's coming in, it was, I think it was a good get, and it grew. We
Yeah.
drew really well.
We
in
did draw
Chaffee.
really, really well with that. It was interesting. He was another guy that was about the bit. Well, he seemed to be about the business. I will say that. I know there are some little issues.
Well, yeah, he
later
ran
on,
his own company in Baltimore and stuff,
Yeah.
so he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, it was funny. I'll never forget. A kid asked for an autograph or photo, one of the two, and the kid, like, we had a price set because we were, getting money off to help cover his cost, and he would not tell the kid no. He's like, "Hey, you got to talk to him."
Yeah.
So between that's kind of how. If you've ever wondered how you've always seen me doing some sort of with the meet and greets or something like that, this is why.
Wrestlers do not like taking money from fans,
right?
Especially if they're baby faces. They don't like to do that. They have to have a handler.
Ken Murphy.
Yeah, they have to have a handler. And you were the most forward person to tell somebody, like, hey, it's going to cost this much. Everybody else was afraid to. So
yes, I'll never forget one time I had to go. I forgot what I had to do, and I left Jason at the shirt stand, and he's telling me how he like some kid didn't have enough money, and he's like, I just went ahead and cut him a deal on a shirt.
Yeah.
And that was the last time Jason worked the worked the t-shirt stand.
It's Anyway, you're.
But
just
my own mama says the same thing.
Yeah,
she's like, how are you like? Why do you do like? How can you tell these people like they have to pay for it? It's like because it's a business and it becomes a loss at the end of the night if don't make back the money.
No,
but here's the thing. Like I mean, there's been some times like we've had a couple of guys coming in that it didn't matter what I said. They were going to do what they wanted to do with some of the stuff like Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn was that way. If he saw somebody that needed something to be like he didn't feel comfortable charging somebody, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
and he'd tell me he's like, no, we're not charging him. And it's like I'm not going to argue with Jerry Lynn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
If
so,
he's making a call on it, it's fair.
So interesting with James Ellsworth on the drive over. I actually got to hear him talk to him. Was it Mark Cronus?
Yeah, Mark Cronus. And
because he, with him working WWE and doing this, he had to go over what he was going to do in that match, which he lied about.
He said he was doing a tag team match, right?
Doing a tag match, yes.
Yeah. And I knew that we had to protect him, and at the time, that's why I actually put him in there with Tony Casino, because I knew that it was going to be safe, everything's fine, they could do their comedy stuff, because Tony was so good at doing every type of wrestling that it would work really well, and Ellsworth wouldn't get hurt.
So, starting the card off, Brandon Espinosa defeats CJ Shines MWR Missouri Championship match. Hollister defeats Jake Durden and Cody Wilson in a triple threat match. Cody Wilson. Yeah. He's I like Cody outside of everything.
Yeah.
Cody, what's the best way to say this? Cody has to sometimes realize that there needs to be a separation in the business of business and personal beliefs. And sometimes that did not happen with him.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time where he even ran on a rant to get one of our sponsors. And that was kind of, like kind of the points like you can't be out there, going against somebody to help the bill. So
exactly.
I don't honestly know if Cody still wrestles.
I haven't seen him in a long time. I mean, he was a good enough kid. I mean, he came in there and he came with Hollis and those guys in Kansas City. And he
even got to the point where he quit coming. So just for the ride along. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I said, Hollis is working his way up through the company at this time. We moved to Ellsworth versus Casino. We talked about that just a second ago. How Casino's there to really help keep.
Another thing about that match was the ceilings in Chaffee were so low,
right?
And we had that ring in there. I just remember Tony going to the top rope and his head hit the ceiling and knocking the tile down, and then doing all their stuff from there. But he sold it, and he bumped off of it actually, and it was actually really good. So.
Next up, after this was intermission. I remember this because we did a costume contest. If I remember right, we did the in-ring photos with Ellsworth.
Yeah.
Next up, Sarah Summers defeats Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah?
I don't remember if that was really Mardi Gras back then, but I guess if that's what's on there, that's...
I mean, that's she was on the flyer.
Okay.
Apparently, it looks like it's supposed to be a triple threat.
Yeah, that was when Diamond Doll, I think she was supposed to come, right? And she had to call it out because that was the first start of her injury problems. Okay. Yeah.
So we had that there. Next up, the Fury defeats Billy Hills in a Chaffee Street fight.
Yeah.
I remember this for the fact that that's when I acquired a new role in CCW as head of security.
Yeah. Is that when that woman threw all the M&Ms at Billy? Or Skittles or something like that?
Yeah, threw the candy at Billy. For anybody that knows, Missouri, we talked about earlier, commission's really strict. So, wrestlers can't really attack fans, or they will get shut. They'll lose their license. I was going to say get shut down, but that's the promoter. Mm-hmm. And, there could be some fines with it. However, if there is a issue, basically what it comes down to is Billy couldn't really put his hands on fans, but I could.
Yeah, you were security, so you could remove people if need be, but Billy couldn't.
I did not get the choice to be security. I was pretty well said, hey, we need someone to do this. You're the biggest. You like to go to the concerts where they fight and everything. Yeah, so exactly. This is you. And, walked out there with Billy. That this was really our beautiful start to our beautiful friendship that goes to this day. Yep. Shout out again to Joshua. Yeah. The former Billy Hills.
Yes. Yep.
And, like I said, we walked out. Lady got mad. You can hear this on our episode with Billy, but in more details. But lady got mad, started mouthing, started throwing candy at him. And,
not just tossing it. She was launching that stuff.
Right. Her significant other, boyfriend, husband, or whatever, got scared and left her. Like just walked away from her.
Yep. It's good heat right there.
Some good heat there.
Here, breaking up families.
CCW Championship, the main event. Brandon Barbwire keeps his belt against Austin Lane. Mm-hmm. With that, we move to the November Knockout, which for some of y'all who are like, they're just reading the matches here and talking about them, you're out of luck because they don't have the results on here. I can't see the main event was Hollis and Barbwire. It looks like, according to the poster for start of year 2, it looks like Barbwire went over.
So here's what happened. That is not what happened. Brandon did not wrestle that night.
Okay.
So what we did is that was another situation where Brandon actually did not. His blood work ran out. Mm-hmm. He got it done, but they did not get the results in time because, of course, everybody knows the November show is right next to Thanksgiving. So when he did it, that took an extra day away from him getting blood work back. So Brandon went out there and put Jeff sent him out saying that he wrestled and he was wrestling 4 or 5 guys. But what we did is we had, I want to say 4 or 5 matches. It was a couple singles matches. I think it was Sarah versus... Little Bit. Mm-hmm. I think that ended up on a count-out win for Little Bit. You had... Oh, Lord. Let me see. I think Billy and Hollis may have wrestled. Goodness. Billy and Hollis. There was... Because I know it ended up the Pinnacle versus CCW in the end. I know Hollis... Little Bit. I'm trying to think of all team CCW because I don't think Austin was there. I don't think I know Brandy couldn't wrestle.
Didn't it end up? Hunter ended up being one of the guys, didn't he?
No, he just managed against Jeff Odell that night. Like he was out there with him. I want to say that. Yeah, Dale Tucker. Maybe that was his debut for us. He came in and worked because he came in as Austin's guy. And he come in and worked Blaster. And he beat Blaster in like 10 seconds with the super kick. 1, 2, 3. And then Tucker, so it was Billy, Blaster, Sarah, and one more person versus Megan, Hollis, and Dale. Dale he walked out on the match. End up at the end of it, Megan hit I think Hollis did something to Billy, distract him, then Megan came off with the splash and won the match. It was a good pop, but it was fun. So.
Okay. So with that kind of wraps up year one. I want to hit up a couple of these questions that we got asked here. The Shannon Young guy, you ever heard of him?
I know Mr. Young, yes.
I think he's a mark, ain't he?
Yeah, I gotta love Shannon. He's
Shout out to Shannon if you're listening to this.
Yep.
So he said, I would like to hear some backstage CCW stories from the people who lived through it.
I think you just heard a whole bunch. Kind of let everything...
Any stories really stick out to you?
Man. I tell you, probably the most nervous I've ever been, and probably one of the
when
coolest...
When you called me about the plane ticket?
No, that wasn't. That was... but Matt Hardy. Like we talked about the blood work and everything, the thing that sticks out to me is Matt Hardy was not cleared to wrestle for us until like maybe 4 or 5 p.m. the day of the show. He was trying to get his blood work in, and there was some stuff going on with it, and it got sent to me, his blood work, as well as the commission. And the people that sent the blood work was actually the WWE, even though he was working for Impact at the time. So when he got that, he called me over. He's like, hey, and Matt, tell you, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, are such good dudes. Great guys. So we had Matt come over and we were talking or whatnot. And he's like, look, I know that you've seen the blood work. Please keep it a secret. They don't know that I'm, signing back with WWE. He went outside and actually started talking to his brother about it. And it was a really cool sequence, to like realize this guy is going to be in WWE. And I actually got to go to WrestleMania at the time that he was actually there and debuted back with the Hardys when they won the tag team title. Probably one of the best pops I've ever heard live somewhere. But the Matt Hardy thing was very stressful for me because we were promoting the crap out of him wrestling.
And he wasn't a cheap ticket either.
No, he was not. And Julie from the Missouri Commission, I thank her so much. She saved the day. She actually went back into the office and found some stuff to get him cleared to wrestle. So I couldn't thank her enough for that. She's always been one of my favorites. But it was a very stressful day, but paid off. Her and Bill, awesome. Really, all the commissioners, Bill, Chris, most of those guys that come are just good guys. And, I have a lot of respect for those guys and like them a whole lot. But, yeah, Matt Hardy was... Man, it was stressful. We had a lot of people coming, and it was our reputation. But we pulled it off.
Yeah, I think some of the stories that stick out to me backstage. One was when you wouldn't let me throw a certain person's belt in the trash can. But that's neither here nor there. And there was that. The whole deal with Adam Page's plane ticket going back.
Yeah.
Here's a life lesson for people. If you have a round-trip flight and you miss your first flight, even though you decide to take a different flight, it automatically cancels the flight back.
Yeah.
There's a life lesson for you.
There you go.
So, kind of learned that one the hard way with him, but luckily everything got squared away with it. Let's see, there was that. There was a time I was ready to kill you. Here's the thing. Anybody that knows me knows that... I'm very open-minded with things. Very, I hate to use the term liberal, but when it comes to, like, social stuff and things of that nature, I'm very open-minded. But when it comes to money and finances, I've been described from getting blood out of a turnip. And there was a time Mr. Wells decided to pay a person that was supposed to work our show who could not, or he forgot his blood work and could not work the show. You remember this?
No.
Yeah.
No. Who'd I pay?
Remember the Snake Man?
Oh, that dude. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was a nice little indie payday for somebody that did not work.
I didn't pay him his full PO.
He should have got paid anything.
Yeah, I know, but the dude still drove like 3 hours, and I shouldn't have, but, he actually, if he wouldn't have showed up, I didn't think he was coming. Dude made it there at the main event. Like, it was ridiculous. But,
Then he was supposed to come back and work the next month, and he didn't get the blood work then.
Yeah, I told him he had to get the blood work done beforehand before I booked him, and he didn't get it done. Hadn't heard from him since. But, yeah, we did our little deal there, and he did his appearance run in with the snake and all that, and it was something. But yeah, I'm just like that. If I know guys, if I see that he at least tried, and I know he went back to get his blood work.
I don't know if he really went back to get. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of that story that didn't add up with him.
Possibly. I just went on, his word, and he still, I don't think he made his whole PO, but I think I gave him something for gas. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he's a professional, he would have had all that stuff taken.
I agree. I don't. You don't get any disagreement from me about that.
I don't know. Like, I was trying to think. I don't know if there's anything really else that juicy or anything that we could talk about at this point that really... I
think we kind of talked about it. A lot of people ask me about Jason Vaughn and why he hadn't been back. It's just, that's really the reason is I know a lot of more people have a lot worse things, and I mean, I don't want to just trash somebody, but I don't have any use for stuff like that. I think that I have a responsibility to our fans to protect them from people, protect them from. I'm not going to bring in anybody that does stuff. And I know you talked about a guy not too long ago out of St. Louis. You remember who I'm talking about?
No. That
you said it was wow, you said a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if I want to bring it up here, but we've had guys that we, by whatever means, we found out has done some stuff, and I had to call and tell them, hey, I can't use you anymore. They may have not ever responded back to me, but I let them know not to show up to the show because, I don't
remember who was out of St. Louis.
Well, you knew him from somewhere else. I think it was Dirty something.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. I don't really know.
I thought you was talking about someone else, and I was like, well, apparently that's not too hush mouth, but
no.
that guy you're talking about, yeah, I know.
I actually just had I seen he had a missed message from him that if we're not friends, where it goes to where you have to go on and actually look at it. But yeah, he sent trying to get in, but I know a lot of people like him, but I'm kind of, you kind of told me some stuff about him that I wasn't too impressed with, and that's why I won't use them. And for the most part, I'll use most anybody, but some of these guys that come through and man, some stuff you see online, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put anybody at risk, and I kind of it's not really our responsibility, but it kind of is, and I take that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think I told you this the other night, looking at different talents and stuff like that. It's like, you got to remember, this is the way that I can, and presumably how you and this new management team are going to work, is like, it's a business first. Yeah. It's never been a bunch of money marks sitting together trying to see, who can, like how cool it could be. It's like, we want to put on a good product, but at the same time, financially, it has to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I take that wherever I go. I always try to, you have to do a budget. There's some companies out there that just have a money guy that just say, hey, here's $10,000 to go run a show.
Right.
That's not how we work. And that's not how we ever worked. It's not how we work now. There's a certain budget that gets set, and I try to put on the best show possible at that budget. Just like Charleston School, they gave us so much to run a show to help them raise money to do some stuff. We ended up getting Rhino. We're going to put on a terrific show in Charleston, February 29th.
We'll actually talk about that here in a second. I actually plan to have, I talked to Kyle about this the other day. I want to try to reach out and get him on here to kind of talk about, their involvement with CCW and kind of talk about that show coming up.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. But, just to wrap that up, I mean, I was trying to think, I can't really think of anything else too, for the most part, there's not really too, like I said, overall, not too much drama. We had a little bit with some people, but, it's neither here nor there. And how y'all decide going in the future to use them people, that's kind of on y'all. And,
yeah.
I know we actually talked before recording, some people that, would be seeing in CCW, and then some that will probably not be seeing CCW again.
Yeah. There's always turnaround and stuff like that. And, we only run once a month. So there's only so many matches that I could have. And there might be guys that I want to use, but they'll come in the right time when there's an opening and it'll work out the right way. But we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and, I'll just kind of keep living the legacy, I had some people ask when you're going to come back and help run the door.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had some people said they miss seeing you there. And
man, I don't feel like anybody said they miss seeing me there.
Dude, I heard somebody say they miss you having you there at the show and miss you there.
I feel like you may be hard of hearing and you may hear things, but,
No, I get...
if that's true...
A lot of you fans that come to CCW may have seen me out front. Trying to take over Big Lee's position there. But, I think all you fans get on there and comment if you want Big Lee back at CCW doing some stuff. So I think it'd be cool to have him there.
Well, I tell you what, if that is the case...
Kim, what about you?
Ken's is going with the group here.
All right, then. Sounds good.
Man, Ken looks like he's lost weight. It's almost like I can see through him.
Oh, my goodness.
Like he's not even here.
He's a big John Cena fan.
He is. He dresses just like him.
Exactly.
But yeah, if that is the case, I mean, if you want to see me back sometime, just let me know. Hit me up.
Yeah.
I'm not a hard person to find.
No, absolutely.
But
I just got to tell you, Diamond Doll's gonna be there. You'll show up.
That's right. So with that being said, well, I'm sure we start looking at doing more episodes about year 2 and 3. There'll be some more juicier stories that come up from that. Yeah. Year 1 was just kind of just kind of getting their feet wet with it here. I think the only other question, I was trying to log in and pull it up here, but apparently the iPad wants to be dumb. So it's like their favorite guests that you've came in. You got any? Who's your favorite? I mean, who's your favorites? Like, I know you said about Matt Hardy, but anybody else?
I gotta say Billy Gunn was probably up there.
Yeah.
I think he was. Ron Simmons was fun.
Right, that car ride with Ron Simmons from the hotel to the venue was great.
I mean, the best guy. I mean, he talked for 2 hours. We took care of him.
He even told us a story about a resurrection.
Yes, he did. That was crazy. But I mean, those type of guys like that just, man, can you believe just where we are in our lives right now? And you just think about, 20 years ago when we were kids watching wrestling or whatever, that we would be in a car with Farouk or Ron Simmons or who he was back then.
Here's the thing, I was a huge TNA mark when TNA got started. Mm-hmm. And if you would have told college Big Lee that, hey, in this time you're going to be a part of the wrestling business and you're going to become really good friends with a member of LAX, I would have looked at you like crazy.
We spent time with Abyss and with, all these guys that, we watched for all these years. It's crazy. Having Matt and Jeff here, I mean, probably top 5 tag teams of all time. Mm-hmm. The Hardy Boys have been here. The Steiner brothers have been here to wrestle. It's wild to think about where, where we've been and the people that we've seen. And we're just fans like everybody else that, we've been given a gift and, lucky enough to, let everybody bring some entertainment to Cape.
One of the things I wanted to also talk about here tonight was not just, they got the Chaos show, Chaos in Charleston too, February 29th at Charleston High School with Raven going against CCW champion Otis Crowley. Another person I
Rhino, get on not Raven.
Or Rhino, my bad.
Yeah.
They both start with an R. They both from ECW.
It was close.
Right.
5 letters.
Anyways, something like that. Anyways, so Rhino versus Otis Crowley, which I plan to have Otis on the podcast.
Yeah.
Whenever we can link up here.
Yeah.
But anyways.
We got some history with that guy. So.
Do what?
I got some history with that guy too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I saw him at the last show, and let me tell you what. If y'all think he's scary, you should have seen the look on his face when I walked up and hugged him backstage.
Yeah.
He looked like, oh my God, why is this monster trying to suffocate me with a hug?
Yeah.
Also, for y'all that are curious out there, Big Lee's known to give great hugs.
He's a cuddler.
That's right. With consent only.
Yeah, exactly. Not one of those cuddlers.
Yeah, well, actually, I may have not have consented with Otis. They just kind of walked up and just hugged him.
No, he wanted it.
Yeah. He was like, oh, Yeah.
Nah.
So, anyways, with that, so what else is coming up in 2020?
Man.
So, what the other thing? You got the March show. You've already announced. That's what, March?
March 21st. That's in Delta, Missouri.
It's not the last Saturday?
No, it's not. It's the 21st.
Okay.
So it's the next to last. I don't know why we chose that date, but we did. I think it was set for with the plan. It was set for the arena because that was the only date they got open. Then we got some stuff mixed around, so we had to move it to Delta, which was really cool. Melanie Cruz will be there from AEW, and then of course we got the Super Show, which hopefully in the next week we'll be doing some announcements because I'm ready.
Well, unfortunately, I'll be missing the March show. I'll be in West Virginia. Anybody, I know you probably don't like big fan of promoting other shows, but if you're in the West Virginia area, Nitro, West Virginia, which apparently is on the other side of Lexington, they're actually doing an IWA East Coast, which I didn't even know there's an IWA East Coast.
There's a lot of IWAs.
Yes. Apparently still to this day. Apparently there's one in Mount Vernon I told you about earlier.
I wrestled but I managed for IWA Memphis.
Okay.
Back in the day.
But up there, they're doing a benefit show for Necro Butcher.
Yep.
So maybe the hardcore fans know who Necro Butcher is. So it's pretty cool. Like all the money's going to him. So it's a good call. So if you're in the Nitro, West Virginia area, make sure you go out to that show. If you're in the Southeast Missouri area and you can't make it to Nitro, West Virginia, make it March 21st to Delta. Right?
Yep, Delta, Missouri. You know, it only seats about 200, and we'll pack that thing out. A lot of people, I'm sure, excited to see Melanie. She couldn't make it in January, but man, she's doing some cool stuff on AEW, and it's cool to see a good friend.
If she was there, I would have stayed for the show as well.
Yeah, but she'll be at the Super Show.
So there you go. Look at that.
She is confirmed for April 25th at the Super Show and March 21st, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have some more big announcements coming up for the Super Show soon.
We were hoping maybe to gotten some out tonight.
Man,
Our co-conspirator in crime, Mr. Ken Murphy, could not make it tonight, so we can't make too many big Super Show announcements.
Yeah, we better wait for him. Hey, the Power Ranger's going to be there.
Yeah, two of the Power Rangers, right?
Yes.
Is it the original Red Ranger and somebody else?
Yeah, I think another Red Ranger.
The Power Ranger that's also a voice actor.
Yes.
You have to forgive Jason and I. We're not the biggest of comic book superhero people, so we try to help push things over with it, but we may not always 100% know exactly what it is.
We try our best.
Right. So with that, I do know tickets. I wrote up the flyer the other night. Tickets be sold through CapeCon.com when they go on sale. I personally have an idea when I presumably would put them on sale.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually hoping to talk to y'all about that tonight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got an idea too, so it'd be cool.
Well, I wonder if your idea is the same idea as my idea. Because I think it is, but I think the dates are going to be different.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that off the air here.
Yeah.
But with that being said, that takes it to there. You'll most likely see me at the Super Show.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll be down at February 29th. You'll be down in Charleston, won't you?
There's still some things up in the air with it.
Oh, my God.
You know. Depending on whether or not I get a chance to talk to Session Martinez or Martinez or whatever, however you say her name.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of,
Yeah, I got you.
She don't come to America that often, much less St. Louis, so.
Yeah, well, I can definitely hook you up and hang out with Rhino afterwards.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Holly Dead.
Oh, yeah, Holly Dead's coming. Yeah, just talked to her today.
I don't feel like Holly Dead's getting enough love from y'all's promotion. What are y'all going to do about that?
I think we got a little bit of time to promote her. That's the thing, because I know we just come off, we announced the show, wanted to give it a little bit of a break and then really start pushing the next couple of weeks. So.
And then it probably didn't help that I wanted to get out the word about Super Show.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, everybody knows it's coming up. It's Super Show season.
And that's one of the things that it's like, dealing with the wrestling, like, you got to remember, like, and I think this is where some companies fail and some companies strive. You got to remember, this is a business, you know. CCW's model has never been, you want to try to promote multiple shows at one time. However, you get into an instance to where it is, you have to do that in order to start getting the word out.
Yeah.
Especially for how big Super Show 4 is going to be.
Yeah.
We want to get word out there, get people aware of it, and start getting the word out about it and hopefully get those announcements, getting those tickets on sale.
Yep.
So with it, where can everybody find you at?
Man, you can just find me on... Look,
Can you give your house address?
Yeah, let me put this out here. So I don't want people to think I'm a jerk or, a dick, but I have 2 separate Facebook accounts.
Actually, I heard that one of the comments was to tell you that you were a douchebag.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you wrote your own question?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I told the person that sent that tell you that you douchebag, I told them that I would relay that message.
Okay,
so.
I appreciate
but
that.
But you just kind of forwarded out there that,
Well, I appreciate
you have 2
that.
Facebooks.
I have 2 Facebooks. One is just my personal with family and friends. The other I do have for wrestling and stuff like that. So if you ask to be my friend and it has my kids on there or something like that and I don't accept it, that's why. It's nothing personal. I just try to keep those things separate for the most part, even though my daughter's a huge wrestling fan. But I
remember when she jumped in the ring.
Yeah,
that's the Sykes thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my littlest one.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can find me on there. Twitter, Dub55, DUB55. Instagram is probably something, Jason Wells, something like that. I don't get on Instagram a whole lot. I don't really post a whole bunch on there, but I am on the Twitter machine a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's not as much as me, but...
No, not as much as you, but I'm on there more than Ken.
Yeah, that's true.
Ain't that right, Ken?
Silence is golden. He
Exactly. He knows.
So, if you want to find Jason's Instagram, he's in the tag post on the Big Lee's World social media. He is on the Instagram tagged on my post at Big Lee's World. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Big Lee's World. If you want to follow my personal stuff, it's at Big Lee 756 on the Twitter, on the Instagram. I made a like page because I'm trying to get rid of that old profile I had. Just, here's the thing. Here's the difference between Jason and I. Jason wants to keep this, wrestling profile and have the people confused. I just try to turn it into a like page.
You tried to convince me of that.
So, just because it was less confusing for people. Because if anybody knows, it's I even really hate to say this now because of the stupid AEW deal. But, my personal Facebook is pretty well my inner circle of people.
Mm-hmm.
And primarily that is for the Facebook Messenger thing, which some of y'all probably don't want to be part of the Facebook Messenger deal. Some of y'all, however, love it. So anyway, so that profile, that's getting turned into a like page. It'll eventually be gone. And like I said, primarily, if you want to reach me, you can Twitter, Instagram, Big Lee 756.
He's on that Twitter.
That's right. Always on the Twitter. Always on the Instagram.
Got those
or at Big Lee 756. Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, or Big Lee's World on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So if you're wanting to do the Facebook thing, hit me up at Big Lee's World. One thing I hear is people promote their Snapchat. You ever promote your Snapchat?
Hell no. I don't promote my Snapchat because my Snapchat's just I get a lot of people that add me too, and I just don't do it.
I don't know who the people are.
Well, some of them I do know, but I have maybe 15 people on there.
Me.
Yeah. You're on there. Just my homies that if I want to do something or I don't want everybody to know where I'm at all the time.
Well, I feel you on that.
Yeah, I'm visible on my map in there.
You are visible on your map.
Yep.
That's still kind of creepy to me.
You are too.
I know, I am.
Yeah. It's creepy to me then.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just creepy in general, the whole map thing.
Yeah. No.
So.
It comes in handy.
Yeah. It's fine, if you ever lose your phone, just have one of your Snapchat friends say, oh, hey, there you are, you're right here.
Yeah, there's your phone's at.
So, alrighty, with that, Jason, I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and talk with us tonight.
Yeah.
Ken, sorry you didn't want to make it tonight. We could have had some big Super Show news, Cape Comic Con news, but,
Super Show is going to be superhuman.
That's right. And maybe some friends, too.
Never know. Paul?
You never know. Can we just point out, before I wrap this up, can we just point out that this wasn't the original day that we planned to record?
Wednesday?
Yeah, originally we were supposed to record tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did not. We chose to record tonight so that a certain individual could be here. And that certain individual is not here. I'm here.
I'm here.
So the third person's not here.
Yep.
So make sure you go find him on social media and blow him up for skipping out on the podcast tonight.
Yeah. Hashtag missing appointments.
Hashtag missing appointments.
Yep, we're going to get that trending. Kim Murphy, hashtag missing appointments.
Right. I'd say that he could promote his social media on it. We don't know it either. So.
Yeah, he's going to be so confused when all he sees is missing appointments tomorrow.
Right, exactly. All right, once again, thank you very much. We appreciate everybody for listening to this. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that great stuff that you do on the podcast. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, send an email, bigleesworld@gmail.com. Like I said, follow us on the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram @BigLeesWorld. Make sure you hit up Jason on his socials. Like I said, the next big show coming up, CCW, Chaos in Charleston 2. Get your tickets at capewrestling.com. As time of this recording, there are some front rows left. General admission is available. You're doing reserve second row as well, right?
Yeah, first, second.
And are y'all selling Rhino meet and greets online, or is it just
day
of the show only?
It's going to be day of the show only, and Rhino's going to be doing that. But he'll be there at 6 o'clock.
He'll be there at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Well, once again, I appreciate you taking your time to do this. Once again, Jason Wells, your boy Big Lee from the Big Lee's World podcast. Appreciate y'all listening. Have a great night. And as always, 2 scoops of whoop, whoop, whoop.